Is it possible to restore a dead mind? Listen to what I'm saying. A mind that's fried, a mind that's completely gone, a mind that has spent years being pulled in multiple directions. Is it possible to restore its sharpness, its clarity, its awareness? Is it possible to do that? Right? Is it possible? And I'm thinking, okay, is it possible if a mind is dead? That means it's lived 30 to 40 to 50 to 60 plus years of just straight conflict and deep levels of conditioning, right? Deep levels of conditioning. It's made moves and put itself in positions that almost feel possible to get out of, right? Because it's created the story, right? It put itself in positions. It feels like it's almost impossible to get out of. Then it creates the story that, oh, this is impossible, right? Because I've made so much mistakes. I've made so much left turns. I've done so many things that put me deeper in the hole psychologically, right? So is it possible to restore this mind? Is it possible, right? Because if we look around, how does this look like? You see most people who have committed to the best escape to their problems, right? And they know nothing else. All they know is overstimulating the mind to escape, right? All they know is putting themselves in position to run away. What is the best escape routes? What is the best, the best route where I can depend on others to do the thinking for me, right? Because my mind is already dead. My mind is gone, right? It's fried. It's dull, right? So now, can a mind that is dull even understand what is being said, right? Can it see things for what it actually is, or does it see things for what it actually, or from what they think it is, or what they wish it was, right? Can they see things for what it actually is, a dead mind? So this is just a topic I'm just interested in. It's like, okay, what does this mean, Anthony? Because a lot of people don't even understand. They're like, Anthony, dead mind, I don't get it. What's this mean? How is this? Can get to the point, right? Get to the point. This is what many people talk about. And what I'm saying is a mind that has made so many decisions and is lost, confused, dull, and doesn't have the energy to observe, right? Doesn't have the energy to observe, to question, right? It lacks awareness. It's constantly getting like, it's getting pulled in multiple directions all at the same time. Can we restore that mind? Can we restore that mind? What has to be done to get a mind that's been so deeply, heavily conditioned? What has to be done in order to become clear? Right? I posted this quote the other day. I said, the best thing the mind can do for itself is question. The best thing the mind can do for itself is question. So in order to restore a dead mind, first, the mind must see that it's dead, right? Yes, I believe so. It's just up to them. That's if they want to make the choice of change their perspective. Let's not go with the believe so, because the believe so means I'm very unsure, but I think so. We ain't talking about beliefs right here, right? So you say, yes, I believe so, but belief blinds us from truth, so we have to see what it actually is. Let's go through the process. Let's not cut corners. Let's follow this process real quick. Let's follow this process, right? So the best thing the mind can do for itself, the best thing is to question, right? If it has a true interest in itself, it will see that it's dead, right? When the mind finally sees itself, meaning, hey, I got a mind I have a dead mind. That is the start of awareness, right? My mind is dead. The understanding of that, the understanding of dullness, the understanding of what it means to feel dull and be dull and how it got itself in that position, right? A mind that's being pulled in multiple directions. However, it's aware that it's being pulled in multiple directions, and there is clarity in that. There is clarity in understanding itself. If one can understand their own psychological situation, that's the start, right? That's a spark that it can lit something up in the mind. Wait, my mind is what? Do I have a dead mind? What does that even mean? What is a mind that is dead? Am I heavily conditioned? Have I just accepted things about my life without question and just allowed it to be? That right there brings a whole new level of awareness. You open a whole new world of opportunity when you understand the position you put yourself in. When the mind understands where it's at. When it's like, oh shit, I put myself in this position. I put myself in this situation. I've made moves that led me up to this point. But why did I make these moves to begin with? What are these moves backed by? Right? What are the moves? What are these moves backed by? What do I prioritize that's causing me this pain, that's making me feel this way, that's putting myself in the position that I'm in, right? That's allowed me to experience and repeat the same mistakes. What put me in this position, right? Now again, curiosity, questioning, observing, being curious is the best thing the mind can do. And in order for a mind that is dead, heavily conditioned, it must not hold on to its old ways, right? It must question how it views the world, because clearly the way it views the world has put themselves in the position it's in, right? Their mentality, their lifestyle, how they view themselves, the moves that they make, the people that they hang around, the things that you do for entertainment, the things that you do for escapism. These things must be questioned in order for a mind to become aware, right? Because if we just accept it, complain, wish, why me, why this, why? Then what happens? What happens? We don't see. You're not able to see. And I know, look, it could be hard to listen. This could be difficult to follow, right? This could be a difficult process to follow because, again, there's a lot of things going on around you. There may be a lot of things going on in your mind. There may be a lot of things you were doing before you even jumped on this live. You may be occupied with something. You're probably driving right now. You're probably in the shower. You're probably cleaning. You're probably laying down. You're probably, around your family. You're probably doing something right now that you can't listen intensely, right? But one thing I understand is this. Is that a mind that is truly interested in itself. A mind that is interested in itself is a mind that is truly alive. A mind that is truly alive. I'm willing to question, right? I'm willing to question. I'm willing to observe. I'm willing I'm willing to stay curious. I'm willing to step back for a second and say, okay, this is what I claim to know about myself, about the world, about the moves I've been making. This is what I claim to know. Is it possible for a mind to see things fresh? Is it possible for a mind to see things new? Right? What if I saw things new? Not with an open mind, because that's what people say, right? I have an open mind, Anthony. My mind is closed, but I have an open mind, right? I'm able to open my mind to listen to what you're saying. I'm open to it. No, I'm talking about what if I'm fresh to it? What if I observe with a fresh mind? What does life look like? Right? Where I dive into things just like I'm learning for the first time. I'm observing myself for the first time. Does a dead mind or a mind that's been heavily conditioned have the patience or the interest or the energy to do that? My perception has everything to do with my progression. If I don't perceive my situation correctly, it won't be better. Okay? I see that. But what does it mean? First, we have to not just say better. What does it actually mean to be better? Right? That's something that's part of a level of questioning that we must dive in. Right? It won't be better. But what does it mean to be better? Like we say these words, right? It's like, yes, I believe so. What does it mean to believe so? Yes, we say, my situation correctly, it won't be better. But what does it mean to be better, right? These things that we say, language, right, that we just don't dive into because the little details in what we say is everything. Because there's a whole, within just these words that we just, these sounds and these definitions behind these words that we give, right? There's details in there that we completely overlook, right? And because we overlook them, we will never get to the root cause, right? We would never get to the root cause to what's actually going on. Also, also knowing that we are not our thoughts. If we start with that, it opens up possibilities outside of it. Knowing that we are not our thoughts. Interesting. The things that we think about may be illusions, right? We can create things from the past, which is stories, which can be altered, right? Based on how we feel. We can change the past based on how we feel, right? We can predict the future towards us and assume that we know the future based on how we feel in the moment in time, or based on what happened in the past, based on the patterns. We look at the future and say, oh, this is what's going to happen. Think about how many people wish tomorrow looks like today. So in their minds, they don't think they're in the unknown, right? Tomorrow doesn't seem like the unknown because tomorrow in our minds already exists, right? Tomorrow is Friday. And because tomorrow's Friday, I got work at this time. I'm going to go to, this place after that. I'm going to, on the weekend, I'm going to see my family, my friend. You have tomorrow planned, right? And the second that we don't have tomorrow planned, we think that the future is unknown. But the future's always unknown, right? It's always unknown. It's always unknown. It's always unknown. It doesn't exist. So the future and the past doesn't exist. So the thoughts we can create thoughts that are not even real based on our perception of it, right? Based on how we feel in the current moment in time. That can influence it, right? Based on how we've been deeply conditioned, right? What we believe to be true without question. These are things that we're able to influence the future towards a certain direction because of our deep level of condition. But again, all these things that we refuse to dive into is the reason why the mind is dead. Is the reason why the mind becomes dull. Is the reason why why most minds do not have the energy to even observe, to dive into. The patience doesn't even have the patience to dive into, right? Let me scroll up. Better equals clarity. Okay, so clarity, okay. Situation correctly. If I don't perceive my situation correctly, I won't lead you to clarity. Let me see, my fault, fam. I'm scrolling up. So why is this important? Why are we saying this, right? Why are we diving into this? Because again, the details, the little small details that we overlook, the details that we don't even have the patience for, right? Many people don't have the interest for. And so, again, I started this live by saying I was in the shower just thinking like, man, is it possible to restore a dead mind? 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 plus years of deep level of conditioning. Making decisions, putting itself in positions that feel almost impossible to get out of. Have accepted things, living in judgment, conclusions, opinions, beliefs, all these things that formulate who you are. That are not based on facts. It's based on how you view the world, right? So there's the truth, and then there's your perspective on it. There's the world, and then there's your perception, right? How do you restore a mind like that? How can you make it sharp? How can you make the mind aware? How can you take a dead mind, dull mind, right? A lost mind, and how can you turn it clear? How can you make it aware? Can it turn itself clear? Can it observe itself? Can it see that it's dead? Or is it too far gone? Right? Is it too far gone? Is it too lost? Is it not interested? Is the solution interested to a mind that's foggy and cloudy? Does the solution matter at that point? Something that we got to think about, right? This is a live right here for those who are interested. So if you're interested, follow the process for a second. Just follow what I'm saying. Follow the process. How many of you are feeling this right now? I don't know who's on here. I know there's people coming in and out, but give me some fire emojis if you're loving this so far up to this point. Give me some fire emojis if you're following through, if you're understanding what is being said, if you're listening with a serious mind. Give me some fire emojis if you're on here. Okay, cool. Again, fam, give me some fire emojis if you're feeling this live up to this point, and this is getting your mind a bit stimulated, meaning you're questioning, you're observing, you're following through. Stuff is interesting to me. These things are interesting to me. It's a mind that's not aware, mind's not clear. Lives life every single day, lost, confused, being pulled in multiple directions, right? Now we're breaking down the process for a second. It's being pulled in multiple directions, lost, confused, doesn't understand, right? And because it doesn't understand, it's lost and confused. Because it doesn't know, right? It searches for help. It searches for some sort of hope. It searches for some sort of stimulation in the mind, something to do, right? Something to do. I'm not aware. I'm not clear. I don't understand. My mindset has been fried based on the environment I grew up in, based on how I treat myself, how I treat the body and mind, all these things, the people I associate with, the conversations that I'm having, what I'm consuming on a day-to-day, all these things is making my mind either more sluggish and confused or more aware and clear, right? But if we look at this situation, it's like, okay, I don't get it. I can't really see. I'm foggy. Can that mind understand itself that very moment in time? Can it see itself in a real way? Boom. Because the moment it does, it's alive, right? The moment a dead mind sees itself for being dead is the moment that it's alive. The moment that one starts questioning every move they make is the moment one is starting to live. When one puts an end to the comfort, one puts an end to prioritizing this idea of safety. One puts an end to this idea of security, right? The illusion of it I'm talking about. The illusion of psychological security. This is what I'm talking about. That right there, once we put an end to that, then there's freedom. Freedom to observe, awareness, urgency. I'm urgent. I have energy, right? I'm alert. I'm sharp. I see things for what it actually is, not what I wish it was or what I hope it to be, but for what it actually is. And how do I see things for what it actually is if everything's based on perception? Right? That means when I see things, I must not just accept, right? Because if everything's based on perception, then I must not just accept what I see, because what I see may be altered in some way, right? What I see may be narrow-minded. What I see may not be truth. So because it's not truth, do we just accept it because it feels good? Do we accept it because everyone else says it's true? Or are we interested to the point where we're like, wait a minute, I asked the right questions and I'm never satisfied with the answer? So that means the mind will always stay sharp and alive when it's never looking for an end. Think about it. When it's never looking for a conclusion, it's the process that keeps the mind alive. It's the process of understanding. But the second that I claim to know, then the mind closes. Think about what I'm saying here. Think about it. The second I claim to know, I know. Yeah, this is how the mind closes. I'm not interested. It's the second that the mind also believes that it's safe. It's a similar thing. The second the mind believes it's safe is the second that the mind starts to decline. Why is that? Hey, I'm safe. Now I don't have the need to stay urgent. The urgency goes away. The alertness goes away. The sharpness goes away because I made it. I'm good. Right? I'm good. So the second someone says, I've made it, I'm good, I am safe, then that's when the mind starts to decline. But it's similar to a mind that wants an end. I want an end to something. I want to just accept, assume, judge, have an opinion on it. But what happens when you're constantly questioning? What happens when you see something for what it is and you go deeper than that? Where most people stop, but you continue to break through and observe. But most people stop, right? They question, they observe. I'm talking about the problems in the mind, problems in the world, right? The moves that the situation that they put themselves in. Most people just stop. Yep, this is what's happening. I believe this is what's happening. And because one says, I believe this is what's happening, right? They're not interested. They're not interested because the interested mind doesn't say, I believe this is what's happening. An interested mind goes deeper, right? Like, do we just accept? If you're interested, do you just say, oh, cool. Let's just claim it's something that we don't know. Let's look at the problems in the mind, right? The psychological problems in our mind, and let's just accept it and label it something. I believe it's this, and that's it. And then there's no more interest, right? I now live life. Check this, fam. One who just accepts it, just continues to live life in what they wish it was, or what they hope it to be, or what they believe it to be, rather than what it actually is. So how can these eyes see clearly? How can this mind see clearly if it's just living in massive assumptions? Yo, are we on here getting this? Oh man, this is. Sometimes I wonder, and I say this all the time on these lives. Sometimes I wonder who's really listening, because if you're following this through, this is something like like it's in my mind. I see it so clearly, right? And as I go through it, I see it clearly, but it may not be communicating the same way. But who's getting this? Who's listening? Who's on here? We're talking about, is it possible to restore a dead mind? Is it possible to restore a mind that is lost and confused, a mind that's deeply in its own illusions, stuck in its own ways? How does that mind become clear? It doesn't understand itself. And because it doesn't understand itself, and it doesn't have the energy to observe itself, the understanding on what it means to observe, it doesn't understand that it's dull, that it's dead. So it lives life based on assumptions, conclusions, judgments, beliefs, escape routes. It escapes, it runs, it's not interested. I'm running from nothing. I'm just running. Endless amount of psychological, just running away, right? Psychological escapes. So when we say, oh, I think this is what it is, or this is what I've been told it was, this is what I believe it to be, this is what I assume it to be, this is my opinion on it, these are not the words of a serious mind that's really interested. Because when you're interested, you just don't accept. Like when you're really interested, you ever been really interested in something? Really interested, right? Like, what's 2 + 2? I believe it's 4. It's like, wait a minute, so you believe it's 4? Or is it 4, right? Like, what is it? I believe it's 4. Then someone who's not interested would say, yeah, I believe it's 4. But someone who's really interested would say, no, it's 4 because this and this and this, it's 4, right? It's like, what's 3 + 3? 9. It's like, what? 9? Yeah, I believe it's 9. And the other person's like, no, let's look into it. 3 + 3, take 3 and 3. Oh, it's 6. Oh, one person says, I know it's 6. And the other person says, I believe it's 9. Right? This is what people are doing with themselves. They're living life accepting what they wish it was or what is most comfortable. So is that an interested mind? And also, is that a mind that can become aware, alert, and clear? Can it see things for what it is? Can it see the root cause to its problems? Can it see the limitations it placed on itself? Can it see all the illusions it's created for itself? All its fears it's created on itself? Can it see that all of this stuff is self-made? Can it see that the mind is creating these illusions and how fear is self-made? Can it see that? Can it see that? If it questions and observes and continues to observe and question, never be satisfied of the answer, right? Is looking intensely, deeply into its own problems, breaking down the process, right? How do you psychologically do this? Is it a 5 steps to it? Is it a 10 steps to doing this? right? Or is it just a long process, a long observation? A long observation where every single decision you make, putting yourself in the best position to get clear, putting yourself in the best position in all areas of life. Because one who is truly interested will take care of its body and mind, right? I'm going to watch what I consume because what I consume alters how I see certain things. So I'm not listening to that, right? And I'm not listening to it because I don't want to hear your side of things. No. I want to observe without any interruption of what I observe. Because I'm not looking for an end. I'm looking to understand. Do we get this? Do we get this, fam? Like most people are looking for an answer. They're not looking to understand. And when you understand something, you would see, oh, every time I do this and this and this, it leads to this. The mind's been like this for 30, 40, 50 plus years because I've been making all these moves on top of this priority. Can a dead mind be restored and see clearly for the very first time? Can it see clearly for the very first time? Can it be clear? Can it see itself? Can it see the problems? Can it see what it does and why it does it? Can it see it? Or is it too deep and just gone, right? For most people, it's gone, right? For most people, it's gone. But for the few who are interested, there's a spark. There's a spark. There's not a search for an answer. There's a search. There is a priority to understand. Because if you understand it, you will see things you will see all of it play out, right? I stretch it like this all the time. You see everything play out. You will see everything happen the way it happens, right? Those searching for an answer will cut corners. Those searching for an answer will stop, right? They don't have the energy to continue on. How do you have the energy to continue on and observing when you just claimed you already know, right? Oh, I know this is what's going on and that's it because the world's like this. And here's what's happening in the world today. And here's what's happening in my mind. I believe it's like this. It's like, oh shit, this person's not, it's speaking just dead words, right? These words that are not, they're just dust. You know what I'm saying? Dust. And I know this live is especially if you're tuning in midway, it's a bit deep. It's deeper than a usual live because we keep questioning, can the dead mind become awake? Can it create urgency? Can it create urgency? If it values comfort, if it values psychological comfort, security, and that's what it prioritizes, and it's living in that, how can that mind have alertness, awareness? How can that mind be aware? How can that mind be clear? How? It's dead, right? It's like, all right, I'm searching. I'm looking to stay within this same mechanical routine, this same. Let me know if you guys can hear me. I'm looking to stay within this routine. I'm looking to stay within this. It's like it's a pattern, right? I want tomorrow to look like what it is today. Because it makes me feel like I'm in the known, right? It makes me feel comfortable and secure. And because of that, how does it have the energy and the alertness and the awareness and the spark that it needs to see what is true? How? You guys getting this? Who's loving this so far? Who's loving this live so far, fam? Give me some heart emojis if you're loving this. Give me some heart emojis in the comments below if you are loving this live, fam. Because we're getting deep here. And also I'm posting the recording on YouTube. So those of you who just joined in, you guys can rewatch the YouTube, which I recommend everybody rewatch this live again. Because again, we're going through this process that takes a mind that's willing just to listen. Step back and listen for a second, right? Just listen. Listen, put everything to the side, put all the psychological answers you're coming up with, put all those things to the side for a second. What if you and I, we don't know nothing and we're just questioning? You and I know nothing. And we're just going over how to restore a mind that's heavily, deeply conditioned. It's been living life the same way for 20, 40, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70 years. It's been living a certain way, right? And for the first time, it wants to get clear, but it doesn't understand what that even means. It's convinced itself that this is just the way life is. Is it even possible to restore that mind? Is it possible to see things for what it actually is, not what you believe it to be? Because everybody wants to force that, right? If a mind is dead and lazy, it's going to say, hey, look, just believe in this and you'll be fine. The person's like, really? Okay, cool. Now that person's not interested again in observing and becoming aware. It's just accepted what someone else says is true. Again, curiosity keeps the mind alive. Curiosity, interest, questioning. These things keep the mind alive, right? Seeing things, observing, seeing things without an end, without an answer. Looking for an answer. I want the answer to this. It's like, wait a minute, though. Do you understand how the process works? Because the answer's in the process. Because if we can see things play out, right, there's no debate anymore. We see it clearly for what it actually is. And this is so interesting to me. So interesting. As you can clearly see that my entire content I put out is based on this. Oh, man. How can you not be interested, right? Like, how can you not be interested in the process of the mind? How not? Like, if we look at it, we know nothing. Let's observe. Like, let's look at it for what it is. The answer is the answer of what I see, and again, we say it, then we question it, is that most people are not interested enough to even become clear, right? Most people are not interested. There's no interest. I'd rather search for the best escape, because the best escape, it gives me that feeling, that temporary feeling of pleasure, right? That quick dose of what I need, something to do for the moment, right? Some sort of stimulation, psychological stimulation. It gives me something that makes me feel good for that moment. So searching for the greatest escape becomes more important, right? To a dead mind, a mind that's heavily conditioned. Of course, right? Of course. If I'm sitting here lost, confused, and I have no interest in understanding myself, no interest in seeing what is true, I just want to believe what is true, or I just want to run away, then escapism, all of it becomes escapism. It's an easier way to go through life, I would think, right? I have no energy, no intention to understand, so I just want to accept. And because I just want to accept, everything and anything that feels good, I would just accept, right? I would accept anything that feels good. This feels good, I just accept that. I run towards that because that makes sense to a mind that is dead, lost, and confused. I built an entire life for 20, 30, 50, 40, 60, 70, 80 years, whatever age, right, around the avoidance of my problems. I built an entire life where, I prioritize comfort, security, psychologically, right? I want to be safe, and because I prioritize those things, how is there alertness, sharpness, urgency, and awareness? How? Where does it come from? Like, how? Like, do we see this? Like, am I the only one that sees this? Not that I'm saying you guys can't see it. I'm saying I'm just wondering if I'm the only one that sees this. I've been the same way for 20, 30, 40, 50 plus years. I don't question myself. I don't question the moves I make. I'm not interested in that, right? There's too much energy. It's too much intention. It's too much. It's just too much to dive into, right? Too much to dive into because I'm not interested. So because it's too much to dive into, then something that makes me feel good, I would just accept that. That makes sense. Oh, this says just do these 5 steps. Okay, 5 steps to clarity, and I follow it. Cool, because that's what I'm interested in. Something that helps the mind just get stimulated for a moment. I want to do that because my mind just needs a spark, a slap in the head, right? instead of repositioning its life and creating something new. Think about it. Can you imagine we saw our situation, we became aware of how serious and dead the mind really is, right? How seriously dead the mind is, how dull it is, how it's just overstimulated. If we see that every move we make is built on that foundation. How we view the world is built on that dullness, right? Is it possible to have a moment of clarity listening to something like this, or something that gets you to see yourself? Is it possible to say, you know what, let me recreate my entire existence, pull myself out of this situation I put myself in for the last 10, 15, 20, 30, 40, 50, however long years, pull yourself out of it and say, I'm going to reposition my entire life and create something new. Now, will there be clarity? Now, this is not just moving from one state to another country or one state to another state. We're not talking about that. We're talking about literally changing what we prioritize, how we view ourselves, how we view the world, questioning it all, looking at everything, nothing off limits. Then we would see there'll be a spark. Repositioning your life and creating something new. But that's something that most people are not interested in, because that's the unknown. That's like, wait, I never lived this way before. I've never done this before. Because for the last however long, I've been making moves in a certain way. So now doing this, very interesting, man. I don't know. This stuff is very interesting. Very interesting to me. You can see it so clearly. You can see one walking. Okay, what's the intention? What's the move? What problems are we solving? What are we looking to understand? Are we deeply interested? Let me see some comments, fam. Let me go back up and scroll up. One of my favorite books is so brings perspective, limitations going beyond them. Let me see. This is something that consumes my mind on the day-to-day, right? Consumes my mind on the day-to-day. How can we see things for what it actually is, not what it wish it was? And not just saying that we can't do it, right? Because that's another thing. Oh, I can't. You can't do that. So then that means there's a mind that just stopped, right? A mind that's not interested. It's a mind that just stops. Anywho, fam. Yo. I love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for tuning in. Last call of action of emojis. I want to see who found value out of this live. While you're putting your emojis, I want to let you guys know that on my page, you can go check out my Instagram page, and you can see that I have a YouTube channel. You click that, you subscribe to it. I'm posting this video up later, so you guys can watch the full thing. And yeah. I'm going to leave you guys with that, yo. Love you guys. I appreciate you guys. And I'll talk to you guys soon. Take care. Peace.